All right, good evening and welcome to the Milwaukee Public Library Book Chat. Each month we focus on a different theme and occasionally bring in guests from the community. This month we're talking about cozy, thrilling, and scary fall reads, perfect for the season. My name is Beth. I usually work at the Milwaukee Public Library East Branch, which is near the lake. With me this evening is my esteemed colleague Mary, who is a librarian at the King Branch, and Jackie, Milwaukee Public Library's adult fiction selector. I encourage you to visit our webpage, mpl.org/stayconnected, and follow us on social media for a full listing of our virtual library programs. I also want to encourage everyone to visit our voting information portion of our website. We are in partnership with the League of Women's Voters. We're here to make sure your voice is heard in the upcoming general election on Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020. You can visit your local neighborhood branch to get help from the City of Milwaukee Election Commission staff and cast an absentee ballot in person, drop off your absentee ballot at a secure ballot collection box, or starting soon, vote early. There's a helpful video with more information that can be found on our website. Okay, and without further ado, I want to kick off our presentation. I pulled a lot of information about the selected books this evening from Novelist. If you've not heard of Novelist, this is an awesome tool that is used by librarians and is available to you as a library patron to help find reads that are similar to something that you liked or avoid things that you don't like. It is available to you as a City of Milwaukee Library card holder. If you are tuning in from outside of the City of Milwaukee, you can check with your local library to see if you have access to this awesome database. I just pulled in an example since The Haunting of Bly Manor just launched recently, the second season on Netflix. So they have a list which is full of books that you might like if you are a fan of that series, or Henry James's creepy Turn of the Screw. So please do make sure to check that out. We pay for it and it is amazing. Okay, so this is kind of the portion of seasonal reads where I skew towards I'm kind of a wimp. I don't like things to be too scary. I used to be much braver when I was younger, but these kind of cozy and seasonal picks are more my speed, which I'm hoping you'll enjoy some of these as well. So our first one is called A Deadly Inside Scoop, and I just adore this cover. I think it's really great. I love the skull and the ice cream. It kind of makes me feel kind of the fun, cozy side of scary. This one features an MBA grad who takes over her family's ice cream shop, and she would prefer to be focusing on making ice cream with her grandma's recipe, but instead finds a dead body in the snow and has to solve the mystery. This one is written by a Black author and features a Black main character, and I'm really glad to see this in a cozy mystery. So you can pick this one up today. This is the first in a planned series, and I think the second book just came out recently as well. Okay, sometimes it's kind of fun to read about scary things in a nonfiction format, and that's why I picked this one. It's coming soon. It's called Cursed Objects. This one is an illustrated compendium of all things scary, including the doll from Annabelle Lee, the movie, and all sorts of other mysterious subjects, from the Hope Diamond to the busy stoop chair. So if you prefer to read more short quips about things that are existing in real life, this one would be perfect for you. Also, the illustrations are really excellent. I kind of flipped through it when I had a chance. If I have any practical magic fans, this is a prequel. So Magic Lessons by Alice Hoffman is a prequel to the movie inspiring the novel, and it reveals the origin story of Maria Owens, who was discovered abandoned as a baby in rural 17th century Salem. And it kind of traces all the characters that you know and love from the books that are come later in this series. If you've not read those books before, you can certainly jump into this one without being too lost. Okay, and then my last kind of cozy one is A Spell for Trouble by Esme Addison. In this book, Alexandra returns to her hometown to help her estranged relatives run their herbal apothecary and discovers rumors about her family being magical healers descended from mermaids. This is again a series starter for this cozy mystery writer, and I'm really excited about the mermaid and apothecary twist. It's very atmospheric and intricately plotted as well, so make sure to put that one on hold today. Okay, so I have a few of these actually here at home with me. So Plain Bad Heroines is coming soon, so you can certainly put a hold on it today, but it's not yet quite published. This one is really interesting because it follows 4 different timelines, and it is revolving around the subject of a best-selling book that is it's being sold, and there's a huge mystery around it, and there is a 20th century New England boarding school where students are dying under suspicious circumstances as this book is set to be published. It's kind of being sold as a horror comedy, and it follows characters across 4 different time periods, and it explores themes of sexuality, female agency, authenticity, and self-worth. I don't have that one here today, but I did start listening to an early copy of it, and it's really compelling and very creepy, but also has that hint of humor that kind of makes it okay for me to read. And then Mexican Gothic is one I'm sure most of you have already heard of, but I'm just here to recommend it again. It is awesome. It's a reimagining of the classic Gothic suspense novel, so if you like books like Rebecca, things like that, this one will be perfect for you. And it follows the experiences of a courageous socialite in 1950s Mexico who is drawn into some treacherous secrets in an isolated mansion. This is really the epitome of atmospheric and shiver-inducing Gothic fiction, so this one will keep you up a little bit at night, but it isn't too horrific, more of a thought-provoking one. And I guess you'll never look at mushrooms the same way again. Not a spoiler. All right. And then we have Lakewood, which my colleague and I chose for our Book to Art Club selection for the month of October. So if you're interested in this one, we'll be reading it and discussing it at the end of the month. I'll put a link in the chat to that later. But this one is called Lakewood. And it's about a student who's forced to drop out of school to help support her family. Her mother is ill and will be ill forever, and she needs help with her tuition and keeping her mother safe. And it's kind of a medical horror that's really creepy and unsettling. And if you found the story The Handmaid's Tale compelling, this is one that you would probably enjoy reading as well. So again, Lakewood by Megan Giddings. Okay. Let's talk about some really scary books. So I had to turn to my favorite Reader's Advisory librarian, Becky Stratford, along with some blogs to pull these recommendations, as I have not personally read these, but they all sound really good if you like the really, really scary ones. The Boatman's Daughter is being sold as a swampy literary horror about a young woman facing down drug dealers, a crooked cop, and a mad preacher on the banks of an Arkansas river. It's very gothic in tone and very viscerally violent. So this one feels really timely for what's going on today, and I've been told that this one will probably be on some end of year lists, especially for horror. Stephen Graham Jones, I actually listened to one of his earlier works called Mongrels, which was really excellent, and it was about kind of shifters. This one is about 4 friends, the only good Indians is the title. 4 American Indian men witness a really disturbing event while they're on a hunting trip, and it puts them on a desperate struggle for their lives. They're being tracked by an entity bent on revenge, and they're helpless as the cultures and traditions they left behind catch up with them in a really violent way. When I was looking up the only good Indians on Novelist, one of the themes that you can click on is cursed with an exclamation point, which I thought was kind of funny, and there's a good list of books that if you like that theme, you could also pick up more. It's also said that this one is very gruesome and menacing, yet with a very spare tone and very strong characters. So I keep hearing his name, and I think he'll be writing even more excellent books as we go along. My next one is coming out soon, I think this month, if not this week. It is called Ring Shout by P. Djeli Clark. This one is written, he's a Nebula Locus and Alex award-winning author, and this is his return. It's a dark fantasy historical novella that gives a supernatural twist to the Ku Klux Klan's reign of terror in the 1920s Georgia setting. It follows a bootlegger seeking revenge for the killing of her family, who joins a motley group of soldiers in a battle against the KKK. If you enjoyed the book Friday Black by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenaah, this is a good one for you to read as well. Also, if I am going to read a scarier book, the novella length usually works a little bit better for me because it's quick and you can get in and get it done a little bit faster before night falls, because I try to read during the day. All right, and then Wonderland by Zoja Stage is a follow-up to her book last year, Baby Teeth, which I could not read, but my coworker just absolutely adored Baby Teeth. It was a very scary mother and child horror novel. This one is similar, but has more of a suspenseful and supernatural bent. It's about a retired dancer who has to protect her family from an unknown entity that is calling to them from their land, in the earth, beneath the trees, and in their minds. If you enjoyed the book House of Leaves by Mark Z. I can never say his last name, Danielewski, and also Stephen Graham Jones, these two authors kind of write in a similar tone. Also with reminiscent of Shirley Jackson's works. It's a very updated and modern take on the classic haunted house trope. All right, so those were my picks. I'm going to turn it over to Jacki now, who picked some for you all as well. So Jacki, tell us about the books that you chose.
Hi, everybody. So the first book I chose is The Shadows by Alex North. It's a haunting thriller, I would say, in terms of adding it to the categories that Beth has been talking about. It's scary, but more haunting. So not something you need to worry about reading late at night when you're alone or anything like that. This is his second novel. His first was The Whisper Man. The new novel is about a Charlie Crabtree, a creepy teenager who basically confirms everyone's worst fears by committing murder and then disappearing. He has a friend who is friends with both Charlie and also his victim, who returns to town, and someone commits a copycat crime, which puts the town on edge. So I would recommend The Shadows to people who are fans of C.J. Tudor or Stephen King. If you want something that's satisfying but also an entertaining and suspenseful read, this is going to be a good one to give a try. And then let's see if I'm doing these in the right order. It Will Just Be Us, Joe Kaplan. This one falls in the gothic horror category, also has a touch of the paranormal. Tale of two sisters. One is pregnant and she's trying to survive a dangerous child ghost in a haunted mansion. So this is really perfect for people who maybe liked Shirley Jackson's We Have Always Lived in the Castle. This one's darn scary. Unless you really enjoy that sort of scare fest when you're reading, I would stick to daytime for this one probably. If you like the haunted house story, this is definitely for you. It ticks just about every box you could possibly want. And then finally, I chose Mallory, which is Josh Malerman's follow-up to Bird Box. And whether you read the book or saw the film on Netflix with Sandra Bullock, this is a continuation of the story. It takes place about 15 years, I think, after where the first book ended. I don't know how compelling this story would be if you don't know Bird Box. I don't think it matters if you didn't read it, but you saw the film, but you would probably want to have the background of one or the other before you take on Mallory, because I don't know if you'd understand or feel the same level of suspense if you didn't start with this one. So that's what I've got.
Thank you, Jackie. Those all sound really good. I think I might try to tackle the shadows because I was a big Stephen King fan when I was younger, and I can do about one a year. All right, so those are our main picks for this evening since this is a short program, but I have a couple more things for you. I just have a few more slides I want to get through, and then I can talk about some of the links, and we can ask any questions that you might have and talk about what we're reading. So I just want to again mention that we will be discussing Lakewood by Megan Giddings for our Tuesday, October 27th Book to Art Club. We have a lot of fun. We try to make something while we discuss the book. So we have one of the educators from the Milwaukee Art Museum joining us, and we're going to make like a creepy kind of little zine while we talk. So all you'll need is some paper, some pens and pencils, and a pair of scissors, which is really good. This one is available immediately to listen or read on Hoopla Digital, or you can put it on hold and pick it up at your nearest Milwaukee Public Library branch. And then surprise! Next month, I'm very, very excited to announce that our book chat will have a special guest by the name of Nancy Pearl. If you don't know who Nancy Pearl is, she is kind of a big hero of the library world. She's a former librarian and book critic who you might have heard on NPR, who has written many different books, and we're really excited to host her as she talks about her new book, The Writer's Library, which is about the authors you love on the books that changed their lives. So really thrilled to say that we will be interviewing her and talking with her about some books that we also enjoyed. So make sure to save the date for November 10th, same time, 6 p.m. Central. Yay. And that is the end of my presentation, but I'm going to just turn my slides off and we can kind of chat. If you want to turn your cameras on and your mics on, you certainly can, but let me put my screen down here, and I have a few more links for you, so hold on one moment. There we go. So, I mean, we dropped quite a list on everybody this evening, but if you need more, I found this really fun quiz on the Read It Forward website, so I'm going to put that in there, and it's the books you should read this Halloween, so you can just answer a couple questions and they'll give you a fun recommendation. And then during my research, I discovered this really awesome blog, which I will also put in the chat. Let me just get my notes down here. Here comes the quiz. I always like taking book quizzes. And then this blog that I found, it's a comprehensive list of Black authors who write horror, thrillers, mysteries, dark fiction. And there's so many excellent choices on there, and you're going to fill up your TBR list quite a bit from there. I wanted to talk about more of these, but again, we only had a short amount of time. So thank you all for listening, but without further ado, does anybody have any questions or want to talk about what they're reading for the season?
Just want to let everybody know I added the link to the books that were discussed tonight. So they're in there under MPL Book Chat list of books. Come on, people, what are you reading?
Well, I'll talk. Rosemary.
Yeah, go for it, Rosemary.
So, how I select my books is what I've chosen, or some list I've gotten from mostly most of you, somewhere along the way, and then I just end going through things that are at the library because I listen mostly now to 2 audiobooks, and meaning on CD, and then the rest on Hoopla and Overdrive. So what I finished or didn't finish. One I was not fond of, I finally had to just close it up and take back to the library, was I'm Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erica Sanchez. It was just very repetitive, very grief-ridden, and it was, there was nothing else wrong with it, but the grief was just amazing, and it was by a young woman, the teenage daughter. So
I think they discussed that at Zablocki's book club last month, maybe.
okay.
I'm
And
not sure. I wasn't co-hosting with that one, but it sounds
okay.
familiar. It sounds like one that they might have read.
And I think it was on the reading list by Boswell for things to read before the Democratic Convention. I think that's why I picked it up. And out of Boswell's window, this we were walking by a couple of weeks ago, is a book called From the Desk of Zoe Washington. Are you familiar with that one? By Janae Marks. And that is about it's written from the voice of a young 12-year-old girl, but whose father is in prison. And so far, very interesting. I'm very intrigued with how it's written, and it seems to be quite compelling. I'm listening to Kiss Carlo and Adriana Triaghi, and that's an old one that I missed somehow along the way. But I have to say, I'm so impressed with her change of style. I think I've said this before, a year ago, in 2018, I was fortunate to live in Iowa City during July and be there for the Iowa book writers. So then you go to bookstores and hear people, the authors talking. And their talk was that we need to include the things. We can't just stay in the genre. And she has an African-American character who's prime and this is in the 40s and early 50s, a family, an Italian family. So, and theater. So, coming across all kinds of unusual things. I've always liked her, but I'm so pleased by what I see there. And then I've been reading sisters' stories, it turns out. I was at the River West Farmers Market, and there's a vendor reading Erin Hildebrand's book, The Identicals. And I don't always read Erin, but it's a Cape Cod book, and again, through the 50s until the 2000, but a very interesting book. Just finished that today. And then the other one is a Susan Mallory, Sisters Like Us. Again, dealing with older women, although The Identicals is they've got a 14-year-old in high school. So you're across 3 generations with a family. So fun reads, and just started on Hoopla this afternoon, Rainy Day Friends by Jill Shalvis. So you guys keep me alive during this COVID when I can't get outside.
Aren't we glad to have books and audiobooks right now? I'm struggling to read a little bit, just keeping my attention, but I have a huge list. One I'm going to reread. Rereading has been going really well for me. So this year for spooky season, I'm going to reread The Widow of Rose Hill by Diane Biller. That one is kind of a gothic-y romance that's a little lighter in tone and features a haunted house, but it's really a sweet story and
It is. Yeah,
really atmospheric and great historical details. I like it a lot. It's set in the Gilded Age America. So that one I'm going to reread. Some people are commenting in the chat. Christina is excited to start When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole, which is a mystery and suspense novel, and it's getting a lot of buzz. I have that one on my list too.
It is getting a lot of buzz. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm excited. Has anyone read it yet? Because I'd love to hear a firsthand reaction to it. And I also want to assure you there are more copies being ordered soon, and there was a rush request put on those currently in processing. Same for Mexican Gothic.
Yay, thanks, Jacki. We appreciate you. I know we got a
This is the
little.
weirdest year, so we're just trying our best.
Absolutely. So thanks everybody for being so patient with us as we get our books in. I've heard great things. I've read everything else Alyssa Cole has ever written because she writes amazing romance novels too. So while you're waiting for that one, maybe try one of her romances. Let's see. And Christine also said if you like the film Get Out, you might like the Alyssa Cole No One Is Watching. Mary said you're reading Overstory by Richard Powers. I've heard a lot of good things about that one, which is the one with the trees.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, I don't quite know what to make of it right now. It started out talking about the history of, I forget what the tree type is, but, and then now the rest of the beginning half of the book, I would say, is focused on, seems to be focusing on a different character each chapter. And there aren't necessarily good things that happen to those characters within the chapter. It's just, it's different. I'm intrigued. I'm curious to see what it's going to become.
Awesome. I've heard good things. I think it might be one that you have to take in pieces. Okay, it looks like Sasha is sharing that they're listening to The Night Before by Wendy Walker. They said it's a domestic suspense told from the POV of one sister who is missing and the one sister who's trying to find her. So that sounds really awesome. And Jacki said The Night Before is pretty twisty. Sasha says they like it, but yes, it's stressing them out. That sounds like a good one though for this time of year. I kind of like those thrillers on audio because it forces you to slow down and listen to it. Because if I get stressed, I kind of read really fast and then get to the end. Otherwise, we are drawing up on our half an hour, and if anybody has any last questions or comments, please feel free to share. But otherwise, we'll let you get on with your evening.
Thank
Really
you.
grateful for you all being here with us this evening, and I hope to see you back on November 10th when we get to talk with Nancy Pearl.
Thanks
Nice seeing everybody.
for having me.
Have a
Thank
nice,
Yep,
happy
thank you, everybody.
Halloween.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Good night.
Bye, Christina. Bye, Jacki. Good to see you.
Likewise.